There are times when you walk into a room carrying nothing but sincerity, a gentle tone, and good intentions, yet what you receive in return is silence, resentment, or even hostility. You offer your hand in peace, and it's met with suspicion. You speak with kindness, and you're accused of manipulation. You show compassion, and it's mistaken for weakness. This phenomenon, being hated even when you are kind, is one of the most paradoxical and painful human experiences, yet it is rooted in deep psychological truths. The first truth is this: your kindness holds up a mirror to those who cannot face themselves, and in doing so, you become a reflection they are desperate to escape. When you walk into their lives without an agenda, without malice, without the usual manipulative social games that so many have grown used to playing, you interrupt the narratives they've built to survive. Your kindness is not just a gesture, it is a quiet revolution. It unravels the masks they wear, often unconsciously, and reveals the deep-rooted discomfort they have with vulnerability and authenticity. Many people have lived their entire lives armor-yored against betrayal, abandonment, and emotional pain, and when someone like you arrives with nothing but openness, it confuses their psychological defenses. They've come to expect cruelty dressed as charm, control hidden in care, and exploitation veiled in affection. When what they encounter instead is genuine warmth, their first instinct is not trust. It is doubt, fear, and even anger, because it challenges the way they understand the world and their place in it. You must understand that for some, facing authenticity is like standing naked before a mirror they've spent years avoiding. Your kindness doesn't just show them who you are. It forces them to see who they are not. It brings into sharp focus their unresolved pain, the selfish tendencies they've normalized, the callousness they've justified as survival, and the emptiness they've been disguising with bravado. For those who haven't done the inner work, your emotional generosity becomes a direct assault on their self-image. They cannot welcome you without first tearing down the walls they built to keep others out, and that kind of inner dismantling feels like a threat, not a gift. So instead, they lash out, they project. They label your kindness as fake, naive, manipulative, or weak, because to accept it for what it truly is would require a confrontation with their own emotional poverty, and few are ready for that kind of reckoning in this strange reversal. The more sincere you are, the more others may try to invalidate you. This is not a reflection of your failure, but of your light shining too brightly in a room where shadows are more comfortable. People who have not healed will often choose their familiar suffering over unfamiliar healing. They may be envious not of what you have, but of who you are when no one is watching. The grace in your presence, the steadiness of your empathy, the freedom you found in being emotionally honest. These things silently expose the chains they're still dragging around, and rather than seek the key to their own liberation, they may choose to resent the one who walks freely. That resentment is not born from your wrongdoings, but from their inability to meet you on the same frequency even in your silence. You may be hated because your silence doesn't offer the validation their wounded ego craves. When you don't respond with the same toxicity, when you hold your peace rather than retaliate, you inadvertently trigger their feelings of inadequacy. It's not just your words or actions. It's your very presence that unsettles them. You are a reminder of something they either lost or never cultivated: inner clarity, emotional maturity, and the courage to be kind in a world that rewards cruelty. Your kindness holds a mirror, and not everyone is ready to look into it without flinching, without turning away, without projecting their discomfort back onto you. This is why even your gentlest intentions can be met with hostility, because the kindness you carry isn't merely an offering to them, it's an invitation to confront themselves, and that is the hardest truth of all. The second truth that must be faced is the quiet but powerful reality that kindness, when rooted in unwavering consistency, begins to generate a force of its own, a kind of silent authority that defies the expectations of those who mistake softness for submission. People are often conditioned to see emotional strength as aggression, control, or dominance, and so when they encounter someone who embodies strength through calmness, through compassion, through the refusal to engage in petty power struggles, it confuses them on a deep level. They are used to control being loud, being cruel, being dramatic, but your kindness comes from a center that does not need to overpower, and that challenges the frameworks they rely on to feel important. You are not playing the game they know, and when you don't respond the way they anticipate, when you don't rise to anger, when you don't return insult for insult, when you stay composed in moments designed to provoke you, it disarms them, and more than that, it frustrates them because you are not giving them the emotional leverage they seek. People who depend on control to feel safe often become anxious around those they cannot manipulate. Your kindness, if it's consistent and honest, is not something they can use against you, and that unsettles them. They may prod you, challenge your integrity, provoke you with sarcasm, or try to paint you as weak, but when you do not collapse under pressure or defend yourself with the same venom they use, they begin to recognize, consciously or not, that you are not reacting from fear or insecurity. You are responding from clarity, and that clarity is where your true power lies. The problem is that not everyone is ready to witness power expressed through patience. They are threatened by the idea that someone could maintain inner stability without resorting to dominance or deceit. Your composure feels like a rebuke to their emotional chaos, your presence like a contradiction to the noise they need to feel significant. Even worse for them is the realization that your kindness is not for sale. You do not perform it to be liked, you do not adjust it to win favor, and you do not withdraw it when unrecognized. You remain who you are, regardless of the audience, and that consistency reveals the conditional nature of their own behavior. They see how easily they bend to resentment, how quickly they need validation, how little they can give without expecting something in return, and so your presence becomes a challenge to their emotional dishonesty. The stronger your inner peace, the more you'll be accused of arrogance, of emotional detachment, of thinking you're better. They cannot understand that true kindness flows from an abundant soul, and abundance is something they have not yet accessed. To them, kindness must be a mask or a manipulation tactic, because that's how they have learned to survive. Anything else disrupts the world. You that keeps their ego intact, the need for control and dominance, does not tolerate emotional freedom in others. When you are free from needing their approval, when your actions are not dictated by the reactions of others, when you do not play the roles they try to assign you, either the fool, the doormat, or the idealized savior, they begin to lose their ability to categorize you, and people fear what they cannot label. You unsettle their control, not by force, but by not needing control yourself. And this is why your kindness, steady and whole, becomes such a threat. It dissolves the foundations of the emotional games they rely on to feel powerful, and in that space of loss, rather than seeking self-awareness, they may choose to target you, not because you have harmed them, but because your very existence removes their illusion of superiority and reveals truth. They are not ready to face the third truth that often goes unspoken, is that some people are simply unable to receive love, kindness, or acceptance because deep within them lies a belief that they do not deserve it. This belief is not always visible on the surface, but it operates in the background of their behavior like a hidden script, shaping how they interpret others and how they react to warmth. When you offer kindness to someone who carries unresolved shame, they do not experience it as a healing balm. They experience it as an intrusion. It feels unearned, and because it doesn't match how they see themselves, it creates a painful emotional dissonance. Your kindness contradicts the internal narrative they've lived by for years, the one that says they're unlovable, unworthy, or irreparably damaged. Instead of feeling grateful or uplifted, They feel suspicious, uncomfortable, or even angry, not because of what you've done wrong, but because their self-concept cannot accommodate genuine care without breaking apart. This is where projection begins. They cannot reconcile why someone would be kind to them unless that person has an ulterior motive. They start looking for hidden meanings behind your words, waiting for the moment your compassion turns into betrayal, bracing themselves for the disappointment they've grown accustomed to. Your presence becomes a threat, not because of anything you've said or done, but because you represent a version of reality they cannot accept without rewriting the painful story they've clung to for so long. To protect themselves, they reject you before they can be rejected. They hurt you before they believe you'll hurt them. They may accuse you of manipulation or weakness, not because it's true, but because that accusation restores their sense of control in an emotional situation that makes them feel vulnerable and exposed. For these individuals, intimacy feels dangerous. Emotional closeness brings with it the possibility of being seen, and being seen means being judged, being abandoned, being reminded of old wounds they've never healed. When your kindness invites them into closeness, they feel the walls they've built beginning to crack, and that cracking is terrifying. Their instinct is to run, to push you away, to turn your goodness into something toxic, so they can justify the distance they create. They may spread rumors, twist your words, or respond with cruelty, not because your kindness warrants it, but because they must turn you into the villain in their minds to protect the fragile image they have of themselves. If they accept that your kindness is real, then they must also accept that they have been living in a prison of self-denial, and for many, that realization is far more painful than the comfort of bitterness. There's also envy, not always envy of what you have, but of how you carry yourself, how you love freely, how you move through the world without needing to armor yourself in cynicism. Your emotional freedom exposes their emotional captivity. Your ability to give without fear makes them confront their own inability to do the same. In this way, your kindness becomes a mirror reflecting back everything they are not ready to become. They do not hate you because of who you are. They hate you because of what your presence stirs within them. You are a reminder that healing is possible, that love can be pure, that connection doesn't have to be transactional. And if they are not ready for that truth, they will fight it, and by extension, fight you. You must understand that this is not a battle you can win by being kinder, softer, or more available. The issue is not your kindness, it is their inability to receive it. No amount of light can comfort someone who has made peace with darkness. Sometimes your role is not to save or convince, but to stand firm in your truth, even when that truth is met with resistance. Because the greatest kindness you can offer is remaining who you are even when others cannot yet understand why you shine the way you do.